Hello once again. My name is Justin Njovu, and I'm coming to you right from the World Vision office. And I come to you with the Wider Vision podcast, our third edition, our third episode as promised. And today I am joined by a very good friend of World Vision. You get to learn more about him, but we ask you to continue to stay glued to this podcast as we continue with conversations that talk about social change. And going straight to introduce my guests, I am joined by no other than Brian Bwembya, popularly known as B-Flow. I think that is as much as we can go. Brian, welcome to the Wider Vision podcast.
Thank you, Justin. It's really good to be here. And I know this has been cooking for a while. And just to see it getting actualized makes me so happy. Yeah, it's a very good setup. I love it. It's very colorful. And the World Vision colors are well represented.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you at World Vision, because World Vision is home for you, right?
It's home indeed.
And us sitting down today, really, we're looking at the role of art in social change, charity, humanitarian work, and you've played a big role in that. Maybe we can just get straight into the meat of the discussion.
Yeah.
I know you've been involved quite a lot. You've done a lot of advocacy when it comes to social causes like gender-based violence. I've seen you've done a lot of work when it comes to, COVID-19. I know you were quite involved. So maybe the first thing is, at what point did you realize that, you could use music not only for entertainment, but also to bring meaningful change to people out there?
Yeah, thank you so much. So when I was much younger, I found myself doing certain things that were interesting to me. I don't know where that interest came from, but maybe it could have something to do with my mother and the lessons that she provided and the values that she instilled. Excuse me. So my mother used to talk to me about how she wanted me to grow up, being responsible, being attentive and focused on my education, and I tried to focus on that. So once I got into school, I realized that school had a lot of peer pressure, where there are certain things that are bad but are considered cool among peers, where sometimes people would say, oh no, let's try this out. Let's go and smoke, let's go and drink and whatnot. During school hours or after school, people would try to do all these things. But I think the values that my mother instilled in me played a part in me choosing my priorities. And so I prioritized things that could keep me busy and away from all those illicit activities. Yeah. And so for me, I started getting involved in extracurricular activities, like joining clubs in school. I remember the first club I ever joined was in 7th grade, the Child Rights Club. By the time I was in 10th grade, I was a member of the Anti-AIDS Club, the Anti-Drug Club, the Youth-Friendly Corner for our school. I was the chairperson there in the Anti-AIDS Club. When I was in 10th grade, term 3, we went for elections. Because of my commitment, people decided to say I should vie for a position, and I vied for the vice presidency. So by the time I was in 11th grade, I got appointed as a prefect, and at the same time, I also went for elections again and became the president of the club, the Anti-AIDS and Anti-Drug Club. Yeah. So I continued as president all the way up to grade 12, and by the time I was in grade 12, I also got appointed as the head boy for Kabwe Secondary School. And then I was also actively involved even in the press club, where I was the chief printer. I was also the chief librarian for our library, and so many other things. I think I had about 7 positions in school at the same time. And so, that point where you need to have a badge here. Yeah. How many badges are you going to have if you've got 7 to 8 positions in school? So I only carried 3. And then the others will just mention them here and there. Yeah, so that background in itself I didn't know that it was preparing me for what I do today.
Yeah.
But I was also doing music. Even in the clubs, like in the Anti-AIDS Club, we were composing songs. I remember one of the songs we composed called AIDS is Real. And I would rap on that song. Then the other members would sing the chorus and all these things. So when I started doing music professionally, I found myself in a space where music was a talent that I just wanted to use to express myself and showcase my talent. And so I was singing, people were loving it and enjoying. Then one day, after singing for like 5 years professionally and I was famous, I had this awakening to say, wait a minute, so what exactly are you doing? Who are you? So it was a moment to redefine myself and also to ask myself questions. I introspected, I said, no. This is not who I am. I'm not just an entertainer. I'm a person who is supposed to be a change maker here. I need to create real change in society. I don't want to just be remembered as a person who just sings for the sake of singing. I should sing, and what I sing about should have an impact in someone's life. So I wanted to then look at what are the causes that are, I'm passionate about and are close to my heart. Then I realized the fact that I was raised by a single mother. I saw her sacrifices, and then I saw many other single mothers in society who are doing their best to raise their children. And so that became the first topic that I started addressing in my music when I shifted the direction of my music, and I've never looked back ever since. And then many other causes came up.
So it's not like just something that happened by accident. It's something that is coming from way back. It's something that comes from your upbringing.
Yes.
So, now this actually makes sense, because most people would think maybe it only started when you blew up, when you made the hit song. I know there's one song that I really love. The song that you did with Judy.
Oh, Cry of a Woman.
Cry of a Woman. I think it really, I can feel the passion in it, and I think it's one of those songs that...
and you're right, actually. Cry of a Woman was the first song I did when I was shifting the direction of my music. So in 2012, when I made that decision, I made it at the end of 2011, that decision. Then in 2012, I started volunteering and participating in certain things to do with charity work, humanitarian work. Then within the same year, 2012, I decided to do that song. And that song was based on a true story that happened in Luansha. So I had already made a decision that I wanted to be doing these things. So when that story was told to me, for me it was more like God is confirming something. Like it was confirmation to say, oh, you said in your mind you said you want to talk about the affairs of women, and this story has come to you, this person has told you this story. Why don't you start then from here? So I started writing that song in Luansha. By the time I arrived back in Lusaka, that's at the time when I was having a show. So by the time I was arriving back in Lusaka, I just went straight to the studio and recorded that song. And that song became a hit within a week.
It's actually still a hit. I think oftentimes in the morning when I wake up low, it's one of the songs that I listen to. So it made such a great impact. But then, maybe someone would be interested to know, at what point did you get to you work with World Vision, or actually get to work with organizations that are more aligned to the cause that you wanted to take, the path that you wanted to take in music?
So in terms of working with World Vision and also working with organizations in general, I think for me it wasn't planned, though some people may have felt that maybe it was planned. Like I remember I received some criticism within the music sector, where some of my friends were thinking, why would you change the direction of your music to start focusing on these serious things, these very important topics that to other people seem boring? Why not just stick to entertainment and bragging about what you're wearing and the money that you're making and whatnot, and singing about girls and all these things. But then for me, when I had made that decision, because it was personal, I said, who am I? And what is my legacy? How do I want to be remembered? What impact? What role can I play in amplifying the voice of our mothers? And when I was just doing that, for me, I just did it. In fact, I released a whole album where The Cry of a Woman is taken from, is the Voiceless Woman album, which I dedicated to women empowerment and the fight against gender-based violence. And for me, I did it from the heart, and I said, for me, I've made a decision. This is the direction I'm going. But once that happened, I found myself winning awards. I found myself getting invitations to attend meetings with organizations that were doing similar things.
Yeah.
Then I found myself entering that space. I would participate in different things. Maybe World Vision is launching a campaign somewhere, could be ending child marriage at a government complex. I go there and attend. I have fun with it. It's nice. Another time, World Vision is shooting a small, infomercial about ending child marriage or sending girls to school. And they call on me, I go there, I show up. The most important thing is to show up.
Sure. And were you doing this for money?
So all this is for free. This is where you are asked to say, would you like to participate in this? And I say, yes, because I'm passionate about this.
Yeah.
And I go there. If I meet a fellow artist, sometimes they would even ask me, so where you went? How much did they give you?
Yeah.
I say, no. Actually, sometimes if you're invited, for example, to a training workshop that an organization like World Vision has organized, and then you meet a fellow artist and they tell you, so how much did they pay you?
Yeah.
Because you're a brand.
I do.
Then I say, actually, you know how much they paid me? What they paid me is priceless because they gave me knowledge.
Yeah.
And this knowledge is power because I'll be able to use it in my music. I'll be able to use it in my advocacy.
Yeah.
And so it was, for me, it was just that passion, and I kept doing it. One time World Vision did a campaign called Every Hour Matters.
Yeah.
We were talking about the emergency contraceptive and talking about the post-exposure prophylaxis and PEP and all those things. And it was just good for me whenever I would be called upon, let's go in the field and visit this place to appreciate the work that World Vision does. And I was learning. And the more I learned, the more I found myself getting invited even by other organizations that also would want me to do something with them, whether it's with a pay or even no pay. I would still show up. And I think that's how the brand also grew.
And of course, I know one of the highlights in your career is the time when you went for the Mandela Washington Fellowship. The whole country saw, you got some serious recognition from there. So the question is, do you think musicians or artists in Zambia are doing enough to, champion social change in Zambia?
Indeed, the Mandela Washington Fellowship was a very big door opener for me, and it did open a lot of doors, and even people that never really paid attention to my advocacy at that point, because the media was buzzing with stories about B-Flow getting recognition from the White House because of the Mandela Washington Fellowship, and that also helped other people to then pay attention and see, and so there's substance in what this person does. And that's something I should actually commend World Vision for, because World Vision recognizes efforts of people like me to say, you are doing a good job. Let's work together. You can be our goodwill ambassador. You can, help us campaign for this and that and advocate for this. Whereas sometimes you find that when you're working hard locally and no one recognizes you, then you only get recognition outside. And that's when other people then become interested to say, now that Obama has spoken about him, maybe now then we can work with him.
Yeah.
That's when other people get interested. So my point with this is that we should always learn to look around and try by all means to encourage people who are doing good things in society, so that we don't have to wait for the likes of Obama to be the ones to then shine a light. So it's good to do what World Vision does, where randomly you would say, who can we recognize as a friend of World Vision, and you invite them to the table and they become part of it. So, sorry, what's the last part of the question? Artists doing enough? Yeah, so I don't think so. I don't think artists are doing enough to champion good causes and volunteering and taking part in charity work, because there has been this mentality of what is in it for me, myself, and I, without really looking at the society and understanding the fact that it's the society that helped you to become where you are, and you need to pay back to that same society, being responsible and being socially conscious. But a lot of people just look at it to say, I'm a brand, and I need to make money. So we need to change that mindset and start, volunteering more and taking part in charitable causes. That also, it comes with a blessing. Sometimes you may not realize where other people get opportunities. So there are times when I've heard some people say, why is it always him?
Yeah.
How does Biflo always find himself traveling to all these countries?
Yeah.
But they don't understand that maybe sometimes I was just volunteering in something. Then I got recognized to say, because you've been volunteering with us, we want now to send you to America or to Netherlands or where, Yeah.
Get to learn, yeah. And, there's a powerful African proverb I love. It takes a community to raise a child.
Yes.
And I think when the child grows, they need to give back to the village, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So now I think one interesting thing is you are now the president for the Association of Zambian Musicians, which I must congratulate you for.
Thank you very much.
Now, or like in public?
Officially.
Officially, yeah. We were delighted to hear that as World Vision and you being, a friend of World Vision. First of all, because we know that you have the capacity to really push the agenda of musicians forward.
Right.
And secondly, we know that now you've mentioned that musicians are not doing enough to push for social change. What are you bringing to the association to change this narrative?
Thank you. That's a very good question. So when I did the Voiceless Woman album as an example, and then I started receiving this recognition and awards and international recognitions, a lot of my fellow artists also started paying attention to what I was doing, and I saw a good number of them also taking that route also to say, I want to also sing about a social cause. I want to also volunteer in something. I saw a few of them even doing things like going to make a donation at UTH.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was encouraged. Some of them would tell me, I also want to do these things that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a good start. And so in the same vein, now that I am the president, for the Association for our musicians in this country, which is the body that is recognized even by the government at national level, I have an opportunity to share some of best practices and some of my own experiences in this field.
Yeah.
For example, to say, what is the role of artists in advocacy? How can we help artists to understand what their role really is in society, apart from just thinking our role is just to entertain?
Yeah.
But the social responsibility aspect of it. So what I bring to the table is capacity building. My mission is to build the capacity of artists by exposing them as much as possible to opportunities that will be able to impact them and also impart knowledge in them that they will live with for the rest of their lives. And so maybe I can even take this opportunity. I want to pitch something to World Vision.
Yeah.
I've seen how beautiful this space is, and this is a place where I think we can bring artists to come and sit down and learn more about some of the things that they need in order to shape their careers even to the next level, even to international levels as well, because this is a big interaction. World Vision is a big organization with a big network worldwide, and I think artists will be able to benefit from that, a capacity building interaction with artists. That's something I'd like us to do together.
Interesting, and I think that sounds like a brilliant idea. I'm sure we'll be able to table it up and just see how we move forward, because at the end of the day we see value in art. See the value that art can do at ensuring that the social change that we push forward is moving. So then maybe could we also address the issue of maybe artists or musicians could have a fear to say, when I become an activist of social change, I may lose my funds, I may lose maybe income. Yeah, how has that been for you?
I know. That worry is there sometimes. It's there in many artists, I understand. But I would like to encourage artists that you have to remember where you're coming from. I like what Justin just talked about here, where he says it takes a community, it takes a village to raise a child, and it's the same community that raised you that you need to go back to and help as well. So for me, my call is to fellow artists to say, don't fear the repercussions of being an activist. Look at yourself as someone who is doing ministry. And indeed, when you're doing something good, sometimes you will face some level of resistance, but that doesn't mean that you should stop. Just remember what you stand on. I think the most important thing is also to understand your environment. So for example, if you're going to do activism, you need to be well researched so that even when you speak or when you sing about an issue, you're singing from an informed point of view than a situation where you find yourself in trouble because maybe you're just guessing and making assumptions. But even when you're doing activism, you have to be responsible, you have to be intelligent enough such that even when you are addressing an issue, even the people that are supposed to be answering or attending to that issue, they should be able to see substance, to say this person is actually talking or singing sense. And so let us respond and do something about it. So my message is be brave, be courageous, and be responsible.
Interesting. Thank you so much for that. And you know, most people have seen you to be the face of World Vision on a number of works that you've done with World Vision. And maybe the question that lingers is that all they see? Is that the full picture? Or is there something more that happens behind the scene when it comes to your contribution towards social change, humanitarian work, and charity?
Actually, there's a lot more that people don't see, because maybe sometimes what they will see is a picture. They will see maybe a picture of me standing somewhere, and maybe behind me there's something branded World Vision. But they might not understand that we actually go in the actual communities. There are times when I will travel and go all the way to a refugee camp like Mantapala with World Vision to go and do maybe a benefit concert, or just to go and encourage the people there. And I will sing there and interact with the refugees, and we have interactions. I get to encourage them about their health. I get to encourage them about mental health as well. And we talk to each other, we sing some songs together. There are times we go in the field to just go and see girls that maybe were retrieved from child marriages. We could be somewhere in Central Province. We could be somewhere maybe in Chongwe at a school like Margaret Mwachie, just going to encourage the children there, and they are so happy. And you are volunteering in all these things, traveling around the country. You go to Namwala, go to a place like Nico STEM School, just to encourage the pupils there, give them motivation, and many other things. So we are always in the field, always in the community, always doing field visits, and this, for me, is very fulfilling. So yeah, there is more that people don't see. It's beyond the pictures. There is the actual field work, and it's very fulfilling.
And you know, in the recent past, there's been a public debate on when people give, should they give public? Should they show it in the public? And others have said, it shouldn't be seen in the public. There's been that going on for some time.
Yeah.
What is your take?
It sounds like you're making fun of me because I talked about the pictures that we post after we do what we do.
I know, right? So, there's been this debate for some time. And I've seen a lot of socialites. And people say this could have been done without the camera. So my take is this. So at World Vision, I also sit in a committee, on a committee of the World Vision Board, which is known as Strategy, Ministry, and Local Fundraising. So, for example, part of local fundraising entails that it's important also to show when you are fundraising or what you are fundraising for, and to show, to say, we have done this as a way of encouraging other people to also take a leaf. Because I also see many people who tell me that I would like to participate in a good cause or in a social cause or in a charitable cause, but I don't know how. So that could be a way of showing people how they can do it or where they can do it. That's what I believe. And also some of those works need to be seen
more like as a testimony, testifying. If you look at talking about things like, if we say, World Vision Zambia managed to retrieve 300 girls from child marriages, and we would like to show that as an example so that the rest of the nation and the rest of the world can say, wow, that's commendable work. Maybe even for us, where we are in this community, where we've seen such things, we can also retrieve girls from such, bad things like child marriage, and invest in them by taking them back to school and empowering them with some skills. That's what I believe. It's a way of testifying. It just needs to be done from a genuine heart. Even the Bible in Revelation chapter 12, verse 11 says, they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. So you need to testify of the goodness of the Lord.
Amen to that. And you've actually said something that has really touched me. It has to come from the heart. So from the works that you've done, from the different good things that you've done, is there something that really struck your heart that you wouldn't mind sharing?
Yes. When we went to one of the refugee settlements in, must have been Muchinga province or northern province with World Vision. We had a familiarization visit to different parts of the refugee settlement area. And so as we were going around and looking at how people live, for me, it really broke my heart just to see, these people came from a place maybe where there was war, and they found themselves in this place where now they have some safety, and they have people like World Vision who go there maybe to take foodstuffs and some clothes and maybe some education and maybe some medication that can sustain them here and there. But then I saw something that really, really touched my heart, and it was finding out that there are people who, in the process of moving or running away from a war zone to reaching the refugee settlement, they lost their parents, and these are children. And so in that settlement, you find that there are some what they call child-headed homes, where a child is the one who now fends for or looks after fellow children. And this child has to grow up so fast because they have no choice, because they are playing a role of more like a parent or a guardian to their siblings, and their parents are dead because they died in the conflict. And so these guys now find themselves taking care of themselves. And that for me really, really touched my heart. I remember shedding tears. I actually feel like shedding tears right now. That really, really touched my heart, and I said, wow, sometimes we never even imagine that this becomes the situation when people lose their parents to conflict.
And that's the reason why we do what we do, right? Because we have to reach those people. And the fact that we're talking about the role that art can play to make a change in someone's life, like the people that you saw in the refugee settlements, what do you think is the most creative way in terms of art that we can reach out to such people, or to others that can actually come to intervene?
I would suggest two things that I think would be creative. One of the creative ways would be to create synergies and partnerships between artists and organizations like World Vision, where when World Vision communicates a message to the public, maybe sometimes some people may look at it as they're just doing their work. Or maybe them because they get salaries, so they are doing this because as it's an obligation, it's a contractual obligation. And others would think when you speak as just World Vision on your own without partners, you use maybe a language that might be maybe a bit more technical. You might use big terminologies which are like jargon. And on that score, I see that there's a gap when it comes to local fundraising in Zambia, because people may have gotten used to the idea of always receiving help from outside, but even when you have enough, you still don't want to also maybe make a donation to a cause like some of these things that World Vision does, like Strong Girls, Strong Zambia.
Yeah.
Because your mindset tells you that you are just a receiver, not a giver. Yeah. So creatively, by working with artists, for example, comedians, musicians, and all people in the arts disciplines, then they can, which brings me to my second suggestion, then you could use art, for example, music, to sing about certain causes, come up with theme songs and, messages for social media, just to be able to spread the message out there. I think that those are some of the creative ways. Record music in the studio. Yeah. Even what we are doing right now is another creative way of communicating a message to the public, like a podcast.
Exactly. And I must actually mention to you that something is cooking in the background.
Yes, I love the sound of that.
Something is cooking. So World Vision has done a lot, especially on the Strong Girl, Strong Zambia campaign. And this time around, there's a campaign that will be launched soon. It's called the Flow Fund.
Flow Fund.
So the Flow Fund, it's something exciting, especially for artists, influencers,
okay.
So the idea is similar to what we're doing under the Strong Girl, Strong Zambia.
Okay.
But this one is more focused and more narrowed. We want to reduce or alleviate menstrual poverty.
Okay.
No child should, face a hardship simply because they cannot afford a sanitary towel, a sanitary pad. So there's some engagements that have been going on.
Powerful.
But then from your end, as the president of musicians in Zambia, maybe this could also be an opportunity for you to come on board and support this cause. So is it something that you are open to? Do you think, I know it's on the spot, but would you be open to ideas like maybe at every concert a musician is having, maybe they pledge 100 pads, 50 pads that can come to World Vision? Or any other ideas from your end? Is there anything that you feel you can come in, or you need to sit on the table and figure out some ways you could come in?
Which camera am I looking in? This one? The answer is yes, yes, and yes. This is definitely something that I personally would love to be a part of, but it's also something I would like to spread the word on, to make sure that my fellow artists also come on board. And I like the idea also of artists making donations. For example, if they are doing concerts, they say, part of the money that I have made at this concert can also go towards, purchasing sanitary towels that we can then donate to girls, so that girls don't have to go through all that stress, that's a brilliant idea. And I would like definitely for us to also sit down, even through our association and our musicians and many other entertainers out there, to try and figure out ways that we can do this together. I know that this is a cause that a lot of people are very passionate about. Even in the music sector, I've had conversations about menstrual health with artists. They are truly passionate about it. I remember some of them even wanting to participate in some activities to do with going to Parliament to hear more about what laws can be enacted in the regard of making sure that things like access to sanitary pads become much easier for the girl child out there. So just from there, I know that, because as president for the musicians, my yes means it's a yes from the entire sector, music sector in Zambia. So
it's very good, right?
So
now.
So without asking for permission from my members, allow me to use my power, the power vested in me, to say yes. We need to get involved in this, in the Flow Fund.
Indeed, and we look forward to having you there, and a number of other artists, who could also be ambassadors on the same. So then, this takes me to another question. for a musician out there, whether already established, big, or someone who's just trying to, to break through in the music scene, or even just an artist, what words would you have for them, or where can they start from if they want to contribute to a social cause, if they want to be conscious about how their art can contribute to humanitarian work or charity work? Where can they start from?
Yeah, whether you are an established artist or just an emerging artist, you can start from where you are. Just start with having a heart for the community. Like I said earlier, having a genuine heart to empathize. Just be empathetic to say, what issue am I passionate about? Is it street kids? Is it something to do with children's rights? Is it something to do with, period poverty? What is it? And whatever it is that you are passionate about, try to start and figure out to say, for example, if you are interested in menstrual hygiene, for example, look around. You can even do a search on social media or on Google to say which organizations in Zambia are doing work around this. I'd like to go and volunteer there. And that's the beauty about volunteerism. Even when you are an upcoming artist or an emerging artist, it's not like going to a studio where they are going to ask you for money to say, pay for you to be admitted to this program, for you to be in the studio. But when you say, I am volunteering, most likely you will be welcomed, or you will be shown where you can volunteer, or if there's no space, you can even be given some knowledge on how you can do it even on your own. So whether you are emerging or you're established, we should not give excuses. All we need is to be ready and to have a heart, and we start from where we are. Whatever little you can do. Sometimes it's not about money. I know when you're just starting, you would say, I don't have the money, I'm not making money as an artist. Yeah. Maybe your volunteerism could be through a song that you just sing about menstrual hygiene. And you say, oh, World Vision, I like what you're doing in this area, and this is my contribution. Here is a song. Yeah. So whatever it is that you have within your reach and within your means.
Yeah, thank you very much for
and
that.
To those that make money, the artists that make money, instead of us just going on social media to brag about what car you have bought, or what house you have built, or what clothes you're wearing, can we then go back to that topic about showing what you're doing? Why not then brag about how good your heart is in terms of also giving back to the community that raised you to be the superstar that you are today? There's nothing wrong with saying, oh yeah, I've achieved this, but you can also do something for the society.
Touch other people's lives.
Yes, that's also your contribution to society. So you can also make donations. The same way you are buying latest cars, you can also donate a car to a cause that requires people to go in the field, to go and help people in the communities.
Interesting, and even as we are coming to a close, I think this has been a very interesting conversation. I was really looking forward to this.
I love it as well. I love it. It gives me motivation to actually do more, because it's like an opportunity to also look back at some of the work that we have done, and also to say, oh yeah, we've done some good work, but we still need to do more, because there's so much to be done. Yeah.
Interesting, and maybe just some bonus questions. If you were to do a song about charity with any artist, whether local or international, dead or alive, which one would you pick?
Wow, great question. Well, because of the role that I serve in the industry, so I'll start with the local scene. On the local scene, I think I would love to do a song or a charity song with someone like Maureen Lilanda.
Yeah.
Yes.
And why is that?
Because first of all, she embodies Zambian culture in the way that she has carried herself over the years.
Yeah.
And then she's also a mother of our industry. And she's still here, and it's an opportunity to work with her and to learn from her, and also because she's equally passionate about these things as a mother, about children and children's rights. And then internationally, it would be such an honor to meet someone like Bono from U2, because he's a philanthropist who's dedicated his life to giving. You know, making concerts, benefit concerts that then he gives to the community in his nation and around the world. That would really be great. I've also seen an artist like Akon and Wycliffe, who in the past have done things to do with empowering communities and trying to volunteer and coming up with foundations, which I find a bit rare on this part of the world, where an artist can come up with a foundation, like what Bono and U2 have done. Akon once upon a time had a foundation called Confidence Foundation. I know Wycliffe also did some donations in Haiti. And fundraisers, things like that. They are things that we can learn from, even from some of the mistakes that were made by some of our colleagues in other countries, but we can learn from them and do something as well here.
Interesting. And one final question. So what is the one misconception that fans or other musicians or other artists have about a musician who is championing for a social cause or who is involved in humanitarian work, charity work?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a good question for me. Because there are many times when I am doing something with an organization like World Vision, and then someone just misunderstands me because in their thinking, in their mind, they're thinking, oh, he's making a lot of money. But they don't understand that I am doing this from my heart and it's something I love to do. So one of the misconceptions out there is that when you work with a charitable organization, you receive a lot of money, because the mindset of many people out there is that organizations are all about donors and funders. But sometimes people may not understand that those donations that go to organizations are actually meant to serve the community, and these monies actually go in the community in buying things for the community, or building a classroom block like what World Vision does when they receive a donation, or maybe extending a hospital, building a maternity annex, and all these things that are done. And so that's been the misconception. People thinking you're doing it for money, or you're getting money, but only someone who comes close. And that's why I like to invite other people to also be part of these things, so that they can see for themselves, to say, wow, I see why you don't always demand for money when you do these things. It's because you've been in the field and you've seen the things that people are going through, and the amount of need that's there, and why it's important for us to also get involved, because the resources are not enough to meet the needs of the people out there. And so the more people come on board, the more we make it easier for the community.
And finally, how can someone follow or support your work, as well as the work and the initiatives that the Association of Musicians in Zambia are doing, especially when it comes to charity and social change?
Thank you very much. I think the easiest for now would be social media. So as the association, we have a page, Zambia Association of Musicians Facebook page, where people can see some of the work that we do, our interactions, and also our partnerships with other organizations, and just what we are doing in the areas of improving the lives and the welfare of artists. For example, trying to introduce things like pensions or NAPSA for artists, trying to introduce lessons around financial literacy, trying to introduce health insurance for artists, and the many other causes that we are pursuing, and also building the capacity of artists in terms of what they can do also to contribute to society. So they can follow there. For those that would want to also follow my personal work, I have a Facebook page, I have a Twitter account or X account. I also have an Instagram account, and a Threads account, and a TikTok account, and I just use the same. I use the same handle, which is at BFlow Music. On Facebook, you just search BFlow. The most important thing for you to know which one is the authentic BFlow account is to see the one that has got a blue tick next to the name. That's an authentication badge. Okay.
And, any last words for any aspiring musicians or musicians that have already made it big and now they want to do more than, they want to do beyond the stage, beyond the limelight?
My final words for such an artist are that it's never too late to start. It's never too late to begin your humanitarian journey. It could be that you've always been passionate about these things, but maybe you haven't really understood that you don't even need any other platform. It's the platform that you already have that you need to use. So right now, think about what you're doing. Your platform could be the songs that you make when you go to the studio. Your platform could also be your social media. Your platform could be when you do an interview. That's your opportunity to say something. Or when you're at a concert, that's your opportunity to make a donation towards a good cause like the Flow Fund and many other things. So it's never too late to start. Let's just do this. If you have made your money, you have entertained, you have made a name. Now it's time to make an impact.
Thank you so much, Brian. And I think that's a very powerful way to, finish our discussion. So, to you, our viewers and our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on yet another edition of the Wider Vision podcast. We are going to have a special edition of the podcast, particularly focusing on the new campaign that World Vision is about to launch, the Flow Fund, and you get to know more about that and how you can actually get involved. So from me, Justin Njovu, it's bye-bye until next time.